And we are back once again. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. This is the Still Knick Fans podcast. This is episode 20. Milestone, baby. 20 in the book.
2 0
That's what
2
I'm talking
0.
about. Double up, double up.
Yeah,
What's going
man.
on,
Doing
everybody?
good,
This
man.
is your man Ron, my brother John over there.
What's going
What's going
on?
on, bro?
Doing well, man. Excited for these playoffs. We're coming around the corner. It's right around the corner.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. This is it's a crazy time, man. Crazy time. I don't even know what to expect, man. This is nuts for me.
Listen, man, I'm excited to see that, who we play first and foremost, right? Because right now it's pretty close still. I'm looking for an intense series. That's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
I agree. I think it's going to be pretty wild, man. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, man, because playoff basketball is another level.
Right.
I hope the Knicks are prepared for what they're about to embark on. But I got to tell you, I think there's something about this team, even though they're young and they haven't really been there. I mean, a couple guys have, but for the most part, I think they'll be all right. I think they're going to have a good showing. It could go, hopefully it works out. I really hope that the way they played, that they get in outright and they don't have to do the play in, because I think they played good enough that they deserve to get in and not have to worry about that one game playoff type thing.
That's true. It looks like we may hold on to that fourth seed. You know, um, we've played well in the last. I mean, what we're talking about a 5-game stretch, right? That we haven't that we're going to talk about today. And so within that 5-game stretch, we did pretty well. So if that's any indication on how we plan to play in the playoffs, then that's a good look for us. So
Yeah.
That's what got New York all revved up, man, right now. We're holding true and true. We've been right on, been contenders all year. And listen, man, we're facing the Lakers soon with the same record. We have the same record as the Los Angeles Lakers.
That's crazy, man.
Defending champion, Los Angeles Lakers, right?
It's nuts. It's nuts. I mean,
and we play them tomorrow.
Granted, a lot of that has to do with them being hurt, but still, they got so many stars.
We've been hurt too, though.
I know, but they got so many stars in that team that it's like, what's the difference? They still, like, on paper, they're a better team than we are with guys hurt.
Right. With the guys injured, they would have been like, we would have been kind of matched up. Supposedly, they would have been favored. Yeah. So when you look at it that way, it's like, well, we're finishing with the same records, and now we're playing tomorrow night, and I'm sure they're going to bring it. I think the Knicks going to want to get a win because we want to, these last few games are going to be tough because, we may either we win or we lose. That's not the end all be all for us specifically. But if we beat the Lakers, we put them in a conundrum, right? That team now becomes a situation for them coming out of the West, because now they have to go into a play-in game, which they don't want to do. So it's going to be interesting. I could see some. I think tomorrow's game is going to be intense. Let's see if the New York Knicks bring it like that type of intensity, because when we played top teams, we've had some trouble with them. You know what I mean? When you look at the Nuggets, and look at Phoenix, top team like that, we had a little bit of trouble, especially when they go on their runs. So Let's see how we turn that table. See how we match up tomorrow. But
yeah, no, I agree.
It's gonna be fun.
I think that the Knicks have a really good shot to play good ball against the Lakers tomorrow and possibly win the game. I'm a little concerned that Burks, I don't know how the health of Burks and the health of Quickly, because it'd be nice to have one or both of those guys back. But the thing that I'm thinking about is that even though the Lakers really need this game tomorrow, I think the Knicks should make this as like a must-win game too, because it's such a big statement game. You know what I mean? When you know that you're gonna get what you would presume is the best of the Lakers because they really need the game, and you got so many different pieces. That you got LeBron, who has always kind of, I won't say talk down about the Knicks, but he's kind of always been a certain way towards Knicks fans and the Knicks. You got Julius Randle, who used to be a Laker, and they basically gave up on him. You know, he's here showing, improving, doing his thing for the Knicks, and becoming like a franchise player for us. And you got Andre Drummond, who chose to go to the Lakers instead of the Knicks, and he gets to watch the Knicks playing great ball and going into the playoffs. I just think it's a really good game for the Knicks to win. That's a nice statement game, and it shows around the league because everybody knows, the Lakers need these games, and for the Knicks to go out to LA and beat LA when they need the game, that would be a big statement game.
We got to shoot the ball well.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. Like if we shoot poorly from the field, we're gonna have a tough time. But if we hit our shots, we hit the open shots because we've passed the ball well. You know, even in the games that we've lost, but we didn't. The difference is we didn't knock those shots down, and we didn't carry or push through that run. You know what I mean? So if we shoot the ball well, anything's possible. We get to the fourth quarter and we keep it a tight game. You know, we have couple of key individuals who I like to see with the ball in their hands. You know what I mean? I really like seeing Randall at the end of games. I like seeing Rose at the end of games. Even Barrett. Barrett has showed himself a potential scorer in the fourth quarter. You know, he's shown up. You know, in the last few games. So it'll be interesting. It'll be a lot of fun to watch, man. That's something I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game. And just seeing the kind of intensity that Coach Tibbs brings, you know what I mean? See how short his fuse is going to be. Hopefully it doesn't cost us.
No, I hope not. Well, let me tell you something. Here's just, before we get into the breakdown of the games that took place. If I told you that the Knicks were going to go into LA and play the Clippers without Burks, without Quickly and Julius Randle was not going to have a good offensive game, would you ever think the Knicks were going to win that game?
No, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's crazy, dude.
When we go back to the way we picked them, in my mind, I'm like, seems like this is the point in time where the Clippers will be resting some of their guys because they've been injured, banged up a little bit, and they actually did the reverse where they played everyone. Even Patrick Beverley played.
And everybody was out.
You know what
there,
I mean?
Man.
And so they have a full roster. They had a full roster going into yesterday's game, and we on the outside did it, and we still came out victorious.
They had another player because the last time we played them,
they had Rondo.
Yeah, they had two more players actually because last time we played them, they didn't have Rondo. This time they had Rondo and they had DeMarcus Cousins. Like, what type of team is that over there? They got everybody.
Right. Yeah, they got a nice little filling team right there. Guys with some experience, but it shows, man. If a team hasn't played for that many games together, you see the flaws. You see the flaws in that game, you know, because it shows up in big situations. You know, guys turn over the ball. You know, they aren't coming back, and their transition defense wasn't that strong with certain individuals on that team. But again,
and they're a top 3-point shooting team. They, you know,
got to give it up to the Knicks defense. You know what I mean? I mean, we played well. We stuck to the game plan. Kawhi also didn't shoot the ball from three really well, so that was a big part of it. And he had some open looks. He just didn't knock them down. But all in all, we hit the shots that were open. You know, I think as a team, we took advantage of the open opportunities we had, and Rose was just like Rose of old. You know what I mean? Again, it's like it's interesting to see him, in this new phase of his game and with Coach Tibbs, and him just bringing that kind of that leadership, knowing that Randall's having an off game, keeping us in the game, and it's nice to see. It's not very it's kind of what we were expecting the first go round. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we just didn't have the right coaching. So
And I think his game is a little bit more mature now than it was the first go around. I think he understands how to play a certain way and get to
right,
his spots, and he takes really quality shots. Like he's not forcing the issue.
right,
Even sometimes he'll take a three here and there, but it's a good shot. Like I just think he's a better player now than
right.
when we first had him. I think he understands how his game is now. Much
Yeah,
better.
I think you're right. I think he's matured into that game and
Yeah.
into his body, like knowing his limitations. It was a big thing
Yeah,
for him,
yeah.
right?
I
Figuring
think
that
he's
out.
really
So
yeah, he's definitely he got it going now. Like this
and
is like, oh
Taj, it's
man,
amazing, dude. This
he's
guy.
crazy.
I'm like, it's like they hit the what's that
The fountain of youth.
the fountain of youth. Yeah, exactly. Like they found the fountain of youth in some way. You know what I mean? They don't look it, but they're playing like their young selves. I guess it's their last hurrah. It's like, hey, we got another opportunity to show that we still belong, and we're gonna show up. And they've been
I'll take
showing
it.
up. I
I
take
will
it.
take it. I'll take
They've
it.
shown up.
Oh,
Who would have thought that like those were the two key individuals on our team that we would have needed the most?
it's
Two
nuts.
former Bulls players.
Right. It's
So
great. And it kind of makes you think like I feel bad. Like maybe we should have never let Taj go to begin with. Like Taj should have still been on the team. But it is what it like you gotta do
cap
certain things
space.
to open up cap space and different things. It's the business. But like he's a really good, player, man. He's a role player, but his role is like the way he plays is really, really instrumental in the
He's
Knicks
playing
winning.
20, 22, 24 minutes a game
Yeah,
in these wins. So
it's unbelievable. Well,
it's
all
great.
right. So, I mean, that it was just a great game, a great win, and I'm really excited about the prospects of what can go on going forward. But last time we were here, they had played the Bulls, right? So the Knicks
Right,
were out there with the Bulls. We got a good win, and
right.
then we said that it's like your mantra. You got to get right. You got to win these games against the teams you got to win these games against.
That's
And
right,
two of those games was Houston and Memphis.
right.
And what they did was they went out there and they beat up on Houston.
Yep.
I mean, they beat up on Houston. Houston caught
Yeah.
a beating. Um,
It was
and
interesting to
then
see how good we looked against Houston, right?
yeah, yeah, no, I mean it was crazy. Like I was thinking, like I expected them to go out there and do some things, but they just like it was just like go. It was like a scrimmage.
But it was more like we belong here game. Like we
Yeah,
belong in the position that we're in. And all the doubters can now look at something like that and say, in the past, we would have lost that game. In the past, we would have lost that game. That would have been a letdown game for us. We turned around and we're like, no, we're gonna win that game, and we're gonna win it convincingly, and then go over to Memphis and showcase what we can do against John Morant in Memphis,
right.
and that showed. It showed. It showed up. Everyone else was kind of showing up too on Memphis' side, but John Morant was kind of held, you know, he was kind of held dormant, until the very
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, I would say that I think that the Memphis game kind of turned out exactly the way I expected it to, because the Knicks
Right.
came out blazing and they was putting
Yep.
it, putting in that work, and then Memphis started, falling out of the realm of being able to hang with them. And
Right.
of course, all of a sudden, Memphis starts coming on, coming on strong, man. Memphis plays
It
the
was
Knicks
all those
tough, bro.
other players though. All they like their secondary players all showed up and they were hitting shots like guys who you didn't really expect to hit shots. What was that was the shooting guard, right? Not the shooting guard, the small forward.
Yeah,
Or
I
was
don't
it a
know.
shooting
I
guard? I
forgot his
forget the
name.
kid's
I
name.
forgot his name. That kid, man.
he was annoying the hell out of me. He wasn't like he didn't seem to be that sort of player when we've seen him the last few times.
Right.
But he just got hot against us. You know, he's from Canada, a Canadian.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I
so
yeah, he was annoying, man. And not, you
yeah,
know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just he was playing good.
yeah, he was cooking us.
Yeah, yeah.
But
that I didn't
Randall
like it.
showed up. Randall showed up. Randall was hard to to go up against, and it was good to see. Randall was showing his kind of all-star form. It's good to see Randall do the type of things he did during both games, Houston and Memphis game. And again, was that a Rose 24-point game, 25-point game also? I think
It might have been.
He
It
may
might have
have
been because he's been on such a great stretch.
right.
I think that yeah, no, I think he was really good in that game too.
Yeah.
He was definitely good in the Houston game.
Yep.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think he did. Yeah, he had a good game against them too. And another thing that was interesting is you could tell that the Knicks were prepared well for Memphis. I mean, they had played them twice already.
Played them.
Was it twice?
They played them so much. They had already played them twice. This was the third game.
Because the Memphis was trying to do their little moves and set their little back screens, and the Knicks were there on defense. Then I knew the Knicks were locked in because Ja went up and tried to throw it off the backboard. They stopped Ja. They grabbed it, threw it to Barrett. Barrett dunked it. I was like, oh man, we are flying right now.
They were ready to go. They were ready to go, which was great. So that's how we need to play. Defense, intensified and just like not just like on top of everything, you know what I mean, like defensively being on point and being on track. So it's interesting. I don't know if you're hearing me anytime. Am I breaking up on you or
no I hear you
connections
good.
Okay,
I hear you good. Yeah
but
I think it's just one of those things, man, that they have played enough basketball together that they're understanding, definitely where they need to be. They're understanding tendencies for teams that they've played already. Like they're remembering things, and Thibodeau's got them coached up. So it just seems like they're well prepared.
Yeah, and they're playing good basketball, team basketball. And look, we got highlights of Toppin, and Toppin is, he's coming to his, I mean, he's not doing amazing stuff, but he's playing his part. So I think you're right. I agree with you with Quickly being out and Burks. Hopefully we get them back. Hopefully this is like a minor setback and we just, it's like minor tweaks and we want to get them healthy, get them on the court in the next few days just to be ready for the playoffs. It's sort of unfortunate to not have Mitch at this time. Mitch would have been real nice to have, especially to get to the playoffs, but can't complain with Noel's defense in the last few, days. He's played well. His offense, he give it and he take it.
Yeah, this is just really bad timing, and it's bad, and it makes it really tough on the Knicks because the Knicks have a decision to make in the offseason. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't envy them and to be in their position as an organization to make these calls, because as much as I like Mitch, I don't know if he's going to be worth that contract extension that he's due to get. And that's a lot of money for someone who's not an offensive player. And defensively, even though I like what he brings to the table, I mean, Noel's a better player than him. And that's just, I don't
know about offensively.
Oh, no. Offensively, Noel. But I mean, defensively, even Noel's better all around. Like what he does for the team is a little better than what Mitch brings. Mitch can do the same thing. He just hasn't shown it consistently.
Yeah. I think Mitch is just a better rim runner. You know what I mean? Yeah. And a more consistent rebounder when put in the right positions,
Yeah, I think his hops and his ability to when it comes to that stuff, if he tries to go after it, and as long as he's staying in the game and staying out of foul trouble, right. But there's a lot of question marks with him, and he can't stay healthy, so that's bothering me.
That's the big one, is the health, and whether or not he could stay healthy and stay on the floor. So I think that may be a reason why the negotiations may not go his way, per se.
I just think that we may lose out on him because I think he's a temperamental person. He may not show it too much like on the court. He's not demonstrative, but outside of the court, like off court, he seems to be very emotional. And I'm just judging that by all his agents that he's had and all his,
right.
and what his camp, the rumblings that come out of his camp. So I don't know, man. He may get turned off.
You might be right. I mean, but I guess we'll see when that time comes. We'll see how that looks. Again, one of the reasons why we may see something different this coming draft. You know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows what we do during this draft? Um, we talked about the pickup of a point guard in Vildoza. So could that change the dynamics on how we going into this next draft? What are we looking for? So
Right.
I don't want to get off topic or anything like that, but we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just concerned about that. I didn't even pop into my head until right this minute, and I just started thinking, man, it's gonna be interesting. Well,
yeah.
I mean, as far as the games go, they played, great ball against those two teams, Memphis and Houston. And I think when we were looking at this stretch of games, I think we both agreed that they needed to beat Houston and they needed to beat Memphis, and we thought they would. Then we got into the games against
the
Phoenix,
Nuggets, right?
The Nuggets and Phoenix.
The Nuggets and Phoenix, right?
We didn't think that Nugget game was going to go good, and it did not go good at all.
Did they punch us in the face?
Oh man!
They threw a haymaker and hit her square in the face in that first quarter, and it was all one person. It was his show. It was basically, I am the MVP, and I'm gonna show you why.
If you didn't know who the MVP was, now you do. He's like,
that was basically Julius. One of those games. Yep. He said, fall back.
he said, Ron, listen, I know you've been campaigning for Julius, but listen, let me show you a little something.
Fall back. And no, I mean that, and this is where you miss the size, right? This is the sort of game where you miss the size, because we haven't seen Embiid. I think we've seen Embiid early in the season.
Yeah, one time. I think we saw him in preseason too. So maybe we saw him twice, but we didn't miss them in the next games. Yeah.
So I'm saying, so like, you don't see a team like that with any like legit bigs who dominate the ball at all this entire season for the most part. I mean, we've had a couple of run-ins with what was the Magic's player who went to the Bulls, but he also isn't the ball dominant player either. Vujicic, yeah.
Vujicic, yeah.
He isn't ball dominant either. You know what I mean? So, but when you look at Embiid and you look at what a guy like that can do out the East, we're too light in that center position. A lot of minutes have to been Gibson played a lot of minutes, and he also was getting pushed around and moved. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely one of those things they're going to have to address in the off season, and it's kind of hard to see them moving on from certain people. So I don't see them getting rid of Nerlens. I think Nerlens earned a spot on this team, and
absolutely.
I think Taj, as long as Taj wants to play, because who knows, Taj could retire any minute, But as long as Taj wants to play, that is
a possibility.
Yeah, as long as Taj wants to play, he should be here. And then they got to figure out, down the line. But I definitely think you're right. They need some size. They need a good, versatile player who has some size. And I guess at that point, like a guy like Pell wouldn't be here because, you want an upgrade. So we'll see what they do. But
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like the draft could be an indicator depending on who's in the draft. Are there any centers, any viable picks there? Who knows? Again, what we do in the offseason is going to be key. I think there's been talks about getting a secondary, all-star caliber player onto this team. Whether that means, shipping a few guys out, maybe a few young talent. There is a possibility there. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they move a couple of our chips or, some of our players. The one guy who I think we wouldn't move from is Quickly. You know what I mean? But that could be that would be a surprise if they moved away from Quickly.
Yeah, I think quickly is a piece that they need to hold on to, because you can't, good shooters are hard to come by, and he's a really good shooter, and he's only going to get better. So I think you got to hold on to guys like that. The thing I was thinking is, I actually wouldn't be opposed to them. I don't know how much value it has, but I'd like them to try to see if they can move into the lottery. Like if they could trade, some people that, they don't think necessarily going to be here long term, and try to move up a spot, spots into the lottery with one of those picks. Because I really think a lottery pick would be big for this team, and they could always sign somebody in free agency, but a nice lottery pick could go a long way.
Yeah, I could see them moving Burks and maybe Toppin, maybe Mitch, maybe the three, to get a top lottery pick. I mean, I could see that, just because you can, as valuable as they were this year, if we're talking about building around Randall, you need floor spacings. You need to space the floor, and the three guys that I just named don't really space the floor. Although Burks does it more, but he is the person who's kind of also taking the ball out of Randall's hands and is also the orchestrator. You know what I mean? In a lot of those cases. So if you're thinking of keeping Rose, and Barrett has to be your number 2 guy, right? At least you're building him for that. Then you need the ball to be in their hands, and a guy like Burks can be an asset to another team. So that would be the lead asset, and then the additional asset of a first round draft pick in Toppin, and then a rim runner like and defensive player like Mitchell Robinson. There is possibility there. Definitely is.
I agree. I don't know. It depends
on
the position.
I'm saying an early draft.
No, I know you're saying like a top 5
pick.
draft pick. Right. I got you. I understand. I don't know if necessarily I think they need a top 5, but I do think that they want to be in that top 12, top 10, somewhere in there to grab somebody that can benefit them. And I don't know what they're going to do on the point guard front, but I know they have their eyes set on certain guys. And if that's the case, and you got this guy coming over from Europe, and you want to target somebody like why is his name escaping me? The guy from Toronto.
Oh, Van Fleet?
No. The other
you
one.
Mean
Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry, yeah.
Yeah.
But why? Why at this point, right? Like,
because
you go veteran.
It looks like Kyle Lowry's on their radar. Like, it looks like the organization is enamored with him. I guess because of the type of defense he plays. Like, he's a hard-nosed type of player. So I don't know. But if that's the case, if that's the type of guy you're looking at, then you want to try to get somebody, I guess, who is small forward or bigger to help the team. Somebody like the guy from Iowa or whatever. He's the tall guy. He can shoot the rock. He's a big dude.
Until I get a shot, I get a chance to start looking at some draft picks. I couldn't tell you who played this college season.
But he's really good. He can shoot. He's really good down low too. Like, he can do everything offensively. Defensively, he's a little bit to be desired, but think of a much better the Turkish guy that we had, the Turkish guy who's on the Celtics.
Oh, you're talking about Cantor.
Think of a much better offensive Cantor. A guy who can shoot threes and score from it. Like, he can put up 30 points easily. Like, that type of guy. But defensively,
So similar to a Markkanen type of player.
Yeah, like a Markkanen. But bigger body, bigger frame.
Bigger body, yeah.
Yeah.
See that?
So, I mean, because it looks like they want to stretch the floor. So I think like a guy like that might be ideal as a big. And if you still have guys like, Nerlens and Taj,
there still is an opportunity for Towns to come here too. Like, there is
that's
conversation
an interesting
with Towns.
one. That's a very interesting one.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because of the Kentucky connection and all of that, and he seems like he's primed to come into a big city right now after having a few losing seasons already.
Yeah.
But you think about a move like that, you move some players, it could potentially work.
I could see actually those same guys that you proposed as far as moving up in the draft. I could see those same guys being in a package along with some draft picks and getting him. I think he can be gotten. The issue is I'm just worried about his mental stability because and then working under Thibodeau. I mean, Thibodeau wasn't ready for him last time, but now he's
what's
different.
The outlier though? What's the outlier?
I mean,
the assistant coach.
Yeah,
the assistant coach is the outlier.
That's true. That's
true.
True.
It's all. A lot of this would be predicated on whether or not
Kenny Payne is there.
Kenny Payne. If Kenny Payne feels like he can help him mature his game, you know what I mean? Because he lost a lot during COVID, right? Think about his story. He lost his mom. He lost like a bunch of close relatives, family members. Like
rough.
Yeah, so that's a lot to take on.
I was watching him. Yeah, it was tough.
He's had a good season too. With all of that said, he's had a good season. Now he doesn't have the best team around him, and he's probably not in the best circumstances being over there. And so New York, with a team like this, Kenny Payne, understanding what Coach Tibbs asks of his players, with the mentorship of Derrick Rose, they played alongside each other. He looked up to Derrick Rose when Rose played there. He didn't have the same connection with Jimmy Butler,
right?
But with Rose, it was a little different. You know what I mean? So there was camaraderie there. So there's potential, is all I'm saying. There is a potential for a Towns move, and you can keep Noel at that point. You're just moving Mitchell and a couple of those other players, like you said, and maybe a draft pick, a second-round draft pick.
I can see it. That's actually a very viable option. And they still have cap space to go sign somebody in the point guard realm, and I'm sure they would hold on to at least one of those first-round draft picks to draft somebody. So that's definitely a viable option.
Which is even more reason why you look at the Vildoza move. A player like that who's going to be more of a facilitator type scorer. Great enough to pick and roll. You already have Rose and Quick, so you got the kind of ball dominant point guards. I don't expect them to. If Payne comes around, I think he has a minimal role if he sticks with the team. But I don't see them. Keeping him on, maybe bring him in for another year if he doesn't get signed by anyone else. But
right,
it looks like it looks like there's some moves there that may be made in the off season, but we'll see. We went way off topic because we were supposed to be talking about the the full games that we a lot of games, the 5 games, but
technically we covered all the games except really the Suns game. The Suns game we didn't get to. So, and that game was penciled down for both of us as the revenge game. Yeah. I didn't feel that great about it, but I still thought the Knicks should go out there and try to win. And it really didn't turn out to be what I expected it.
Another game that we were up in half, like we were up by at least 6 or 7 points at halftime. And for whatever reason, like we had a decent third quarter. Fourth quarter was abysmal. Our shooting went to shits. Like it was non-existent. Like we just couldn't hit anything from the field. And it wasn't that Phoenix put up the intensity at all. That was not what it was. It was just us missing open shots or taking poor shot selection, and it was like forcing the ball, forcing some shots that we didn't need to take. And that was what took us out of that game. If it wasn't for that, I think we would have been, it would have been a possibility to come down to the wire once more, because Phoenix was knocking it down. Phoenix, they were all knocking them down. Their entire team, even Ayton had a game. He was killing us on the boards and, in pick and roll. So again, that's another player when you look at a team that's going to face us, and if they start to try to get dominant at the center position, like this is what I expect to see tomorrow. I expect them to like force feed Drummond because Noel can't handle that type of build. You can see it. You've seen it. It's proven. So unless we try to mix it up and double, double team and leave other guys open for for the three, that's what it's going to take. We got to hope they miss the 3-point shot because we can't get beat down low again. We just can't let that happen. That would have been, Jokic. That would have been, Ayton, and then now Drummond. So we don't want to see that.
I'm expecting Pell to get some minutes tomorrow.
Well, no, because Gibson's playing. Gibson ain't hurt.
No, but I'm saying they may use him just to spot, like to go, just to get like some ticky-tack fouls, so that way you
2
save.
minutes.
Yeah. Just to save and give people a little bit of a rest. But I
would like to see that, but Tibbs is going 9, man, and that's a lot for Tibbs.
Yeah,
he's been consistently going 9, so got to give him credit for that at least.
Well, I think he's going to run into that problem if Burks and Quickly aren't playing tomorrow. Then I think he's going to run into having to use Pell. He's going to have to spell his bigs because his bigs are going to be doing so much, right? That he's going to have to give them some type of break. But we'll see what happens. Who knows? I mean, maybe we get one of these guys back tomorrow. That's a shame too.
I would definitely like to see them both, on the court in the next few days because we got a couple of games that we really need them to get, back into the swing of things. You know what I mean? Especially, that second unit together playing. We need to get that back. So we'll see, man. Those games are tough though. When you look at facing some, opponents that have really strong, good center position players who can rebound. If we don't double them up, we run into a lot of trouble.
And you got a veteran who's a star. You got two, and you got another young player who's a star. Like that's a tough team. They got some good pieces. Like those are, it's not easy to beat those teams.
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. Like the Lakers are going to be a tough team. I mean, the Clippers should have been a tough team. I just think that the Clippers haven't played enough with each other. And so we've seen kind of you could see the rust from not knowing how each other play and, like kind of where they need to be in the court. And their transition defense was very, soft, not a usual, when you look at Paul George and Kawhi, you expect a better defensive effort from a team. But even Patrick Beverly, right? You expect him to be.
There you go.
Oh, I cut off.
Yeah, you back.
Even like a Patrick Beverly, you know what I mean? I know I said Paul George and Kawhi, Patrick Beverly, Rajon Rondo. You expect, a defensive presence, and they didn't quite bring it, especially, in transition. So we'll see.
Yeah, I kind of want to say that I don't think there's many games I could point to and say this, but I kind of think that this game also came down to the coaching, and I think Thibodeau just showed he outcoached Tyronn Lue.
Yeah,
so that's how I look at it because I didn't think the Clippers played bad all around. I just think there was certain moments where they weren't prepared to adjust to the Knicks defense, and because they weren't scoring that well. Right. I think that their game plan should have been a little different. They should have tried to do other things to make it easy shots, and that would have been the difference. Because, I mean, the Knicks definitely were trying their best to slow them down and stop them. They did a great job at it, but it's all about the adjustment of the other team. It's the same thing like what Phoenix did to the Knicks. Like they kept pouring it on, and the other thing that happened,
knocking out shots too.
No, right. That other thing that happened in that Phoenix game, which was, and I knew it was bad. I saw it. I didn't like it. I don't know why he did it. For whatever reason, Taj Gibson fouled Chris Paul badly for no reason. Like he just went up and gave him an elbow. I don't know why he did that. It wasn't even a part of the play. It's not like Chris Paul was going up for a layup and score. Taj ran after Chris Paul and gave him an elbow, and he got
Right.
a flagrant foul, and then he pissed Chris Paul off, and from that point, game was over. Like it
Right.
was already they had a lead, but that forget about it.
But you know what that is? That's all on the court smack talk. And
Yeah. It was the banter. It got to him a
yeah,
little bit
got to him.
because Chris Paul is a talker.
Oh
He's
yeah,
kind of
big
he
time.
reminds me of like a Gary Payton. You know,
Yeah,
talks mad
he's definitely a
trash.
big time talker, and everyone knows it. So, and it's one of those interesting because he could be a pest on the defensive end, and you know how good he is offensively. You know what I mean? He's gonna go. He's gonna be in the Hall of Fame, of course. So, um, it's a tough team to beat because when they're knocking them down in all cylinders, you know, like they're role players. They're like especially they had Ayton going. Ayton was going. He was scoring buckets. He was energized. It's hard to beat a team when he's out there, he's rebounding the ball, he's feeling good, and then you got Miles Bridges, who's legit a solid player, could be a number 2 player on other teams, and instead
And
he's playing the third row, right? He's fourth row
right.
sometimes.
And he's mad the Knicks passed on him too. He still holds a
Well,
little bit of a grudge.
well, think about it. I mean, he even in our radar?
Yeah, no, he
Was
was.
he?
He
Oh,
was. They had him penciled in as the pick, but
right.
what they did was they decided to take another. So this is what happened. Miles Bridges. Was it? Is it?
It is.
I forget
It
his.
is Miles.
It is
It's
Miles because I
Miles.
confused it with
Miles
the other
Bridges.
Bridges. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's Miles Bridges.
Yeah, he came in and he had a great showing in camp. So the Knicks brought him back to take another look at him.
Right.
Kevin Knox came in and had a great showing in camp, and they decided to bring him back too. So what they did was they put Miles Bridges against Knox in like a
Right.
scrimmage type setup, and oddly enough, Knox got the better of him, and that's
Not
the
Miles
reason why
Bridges, Mikal Bridges. Sorry,
Mikal. That's it. I knew it was like
Mikal
not
Bridges. You're
Miles.
right.
Yeah,
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Mikal.
I had to look it up. I'm like, wait, it's Miles. It is Miles. Miles is the one from the Hornets, right?
Yeah, Mikal Bridges.
Mikal
Right.
Bridges, right?
Yeah. So Mikal came back and played against Knox, and Knox kind of gave him the business. So that's what made the Knicks draft Knox. That one-on-one was big in
Right.
their eyes. Unfortunately, I wish it would have went the other way because
Right. We see who got the better player right now. At least
yeah.
the player that was more ready.
Right.
At this point, defensively too. Like he's just a better player.
He's a better player. He just is.
Yeah. This is. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, man. It is what it is. But hey, that's life, and that's how things work sometimes. You win some, you lose some, you make good calls, you make bad calls, but you just got to keep going out there and doing it.
Yes, unfortunately, the Knicks have made a couple of bad calls recent years.
Yeah,
We got a couple of guys deep down in our bench that are not looking like they're getting out of it anytime soon. So,
but I'd still think I if Obi Toppin never goes anywhere, I kind of still think that he may get better. He might become a contributor at some point. But
there's some things that show. There's some parts that show. His again, his athleticism is really what shows up in games more recently. He still needs to be a stronger finisher at the rim when he's, kind of just taking the ball himself or coming off of a dribble penetration. He doesn't really get the same kind of lift.
Right.
And, just balance wise, he seems off balance when he's trying to do it himself, So
I think his confidence is building though, because even in that Clipper game, he took a couple shots, and then there was a point where it was going down the stretch. Well, before it was down the stretch, but it was big minutes, and he was in the game, and he was open in the corner for a three, and he took the three confidently. He hit the front of the rim, so it wasn't like one of those crazy shots that he throws up sometimes. So it felt, you could tell that he was a little bit more confident in taking the shot, and it made me look at him and say, okay, well, it's still more baby steps. He's getting better. He's getting better. It's going to take time for him. He needs an off season.
And he needs a definite off season, summer work, and everything like that. Of course, absolutely, absolutely. But again, he's also very raw, and we knew we were getting a 22-year-old. He didn't play much, really college. He didn't do much. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have a lot of years in the college profession, so it's kind of one and done, right? So you're getting an older player.
It is what it is, man. Sometimes these guys, you gotta give them a shot. You gotta cultivate their talent and make them, make them become good players if they're willing to do the work. And he
Right.
needs a shot. He deserves it. If we giving shots to freaking Nilakina
Oh
and
yeah.
Knox, then this guy needs a shot at least. So
But this that wasn't that hasn't
I
been under the
know, I
Tibbs
know,
tenure. That's the
I know,
question.
I know,
So if
I
we don't
know.
move him, right? If we don't move him for a top player, or a top draft pick move, then I think he's gonna get the looks that he needs to get and training this summer, this off season, of course. But he has to come ready. He has to come ready and prepared to take on every challenge. So we'll see.
We'll see where it goes. Well, you know what this brings us to, my man.
Rises and
Rises
fallers.
and fallers. That's
Yeah,
right.
man.
So
It's a long week, man.
uh, it's a long week. A lot has happened. There was a lot of good basketball by the Knicks.
Yeah,
Even in the losses, for the most part, they played good, but they just didn't execute down the stretch.
yeah.
So uh, I'm gonna say, if I had to pick a riser, that guy and this gentleman is not hard to pick. It's got to be Derrick Rose, bro.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose played phenomenally throughout this stretch of games, and it's like, I don't know what to say, dude. It's really, like, we turn back the clock, man. It's unbelievable. So no one deserves it more than him. Julius is obviously always going to be there in my eyes, but Derrick Rose played phenomenally.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a match that by saying Taj Gibson.
Ooh,
It's
hey, that's what
crazy.
I'm
It's
talking
like
about. That's what I'm
just
talking about.
just the one
Yeah.
two alone, just the 1-2 punch alone in itself is like it's showing so much different than what it was, in years past. Just having those two guys as a staple in our franchise, being that mentorship, it's just showing up so many ways, even on the court during playing, and in the minutes that they played, they've shown up. So I'll go, because you went with Rose, I'm gonna go with Taj. Um,
That
so
works. I
yeah,
mean, listen, they both are very deserving. Yeah, I agree. That works. And as
fallers.
far as fallers, oh man.
May I go first?
If you got it, yeah, because I'm thinking.
I'm going with Burks because he just can't seem to stay on the court right now.
I
And
like it.
that unfortunately it's until we get him back, he's gonna probably be either the hit or miss for the rest of the season, right? Because not having him in the playoff run, that's a tough one. That's a big loss for our team, at least for our team. That's a huge loss. So I'm going with Burks right now. Because
That's a shame. That's a
yeah,
shame. Um, yeah, I think I don't want to beat the proverbial horse, and make this guy the easy person to pick. But in this time, I actually do want to pick him because now that I've seen even more of these Knicks and seen how these games have been important, they've been playing, and Toppin's been playing, and you got guys hurt. Even Ntilikina's out there now. Still don't see Kevin Knox, man.
yeah,
I think Kevin Knox is definitely the faller in my opinion because there's opportunities for this guy to go out there and ball. He's not getting them, but he's not getting them because he just hasn't shown improve.
yeah,
Whether it be the minimal practices that they played or the spot duty he's been given for these games, he just hasn't shown enough to warrant even getting out there to take another look at. And that's
yeah.
that's that's sad.
Sad, super sad. I have a question as far as a top riser and faller. Where do you see in the last stretch of games, in the last 5 games that we played, how do you see Randall's production? Where within the spectrum of riser or faller do you see him in the last 5 games?
Well,
Leaning more towards faller, leaning more towards riser.
I would say right now he's been in the middle. I don't
Yeah,
want to say he's a faller. His production, if you want to compare these last 5 games to the 5 games prior, then yes, he would be a faller if you look at it like that. But
right.
I will say the first stretch of the games, he played well. The last 3 games, he hasn't been as good. with his worst game being against the Clippers offensively. But in the same token,
it was a
in that Clippers
double
game, down the stretch,
14-14,
he hit
right?
some big shots. Yeah.
Right.
So, like, he still shows up when they really need him, but there's moments where things are just not hitting.
You're right.
I don't know, but I would say, yeah, he would definitely be, if you're looking at in comparison, he would be on the faller side. Yeah.
That was why I wanted to point the question out, because this is also a guy coming off of this season. It's a terrific season. If we're looking to build around Randle, then we're legitimizing him as an all-star player. And so we're maxing him on a deal, right? All signs point to him getting a max deal.
Yeah.
So for me, the question is,
that's
whether or not he can consistently put this effort in, game out, and show up in the playoffs where things get a lot more intense, right? The pressure is a lot more intense. They key in on a lot of those, strategy, like kind of like his game is going to have to evolve in the playoffs, right? Because they're going to pinpoint certain things that he does on the court, and he's going to have to figure it out as he goes, and can make poor judgment calls, during play. Like, he's played very lazy at times against really strong defensive teams. And that's all you're going to face in the playoffs, so he can't be lackadaisical. He's got to be on point. He's got to pay attention. He can't be going into a double team and trying to pass out of a double team. He has to make that pass a lot earlier, and just make his decisions a little bit quicker. I haven't seen that in this last, 5 games of stretch.
No,
last stretch.
He has had consistently in these past couple games. He's had some bad turnovers, like Julius Randle of old type turnovers. But I will say this, and that's a good point that you brought up when I wasn't thinking about it. If he didn't hit those 3 big jumpers in the last minutes of the fourth quarter against the Clippers, then I would have said he had a bad game.
Right.
And I know Thibodeau was arguing with Chris Berman about that, because Berman asked him, how do you feel about the Knicks being that Randle didn't have a good game and off night? And Thibodeau fired back at him. No, Randle had a great game. He offensively, it wasn't great, but he had 14 rebounds. He had this many assists, and he played solid defense. So I get it. But if he didn't hit those 3 shots, first off, he didn't hit those 3 shots, Knicks probably would have lost.
No, we lose that game without a doubt.
So,
without a doubt, we lose that game.
Yeah,
but that's the key. And I think Tibbs is a player, like, he holds his players accountable, but he also backs them up. And that was a plain example of him backing up his player, his guy. Right? We're gonna roll with you. We're gonna ride with you.
I apologize. I just wanted to correct
myself. No worries.
I said Chris Berman. It was Mark Berman. Chris Berman is the guy from ESPN. Right, with the hair.
Yeah.
That's our guy. Yeah. Sorry. Mark Berman. Sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
Right. No, but that's basically what I was saying, is that, Coach, this is his opportunity to hold down his guy, right? And he's been, Randle's been consistent this entire season. Has been the player that we were hoping for, because no one's seen it coming, no Knicks fan has seen it coming. Even Coach Tibbs didn't really know what he had in Randle this year, and even pointed to the fact that his 3-point game had evolved to the point where he has matured into that, primetime player, that elite all-star player. But it's all a testament to the kind of his work ethic and what he's brought this year. So, for me, this is perfect time for him to be like, yo, even if you try to bash my guy for not having a 20+ point game, and not hitting in all cylinders offensively, he did everything else right defensively. And, again, he had 14 boards. So how do you complain with a guy who got 14 boards? You know what I mean? It's hard to do. I think it was like six assists or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, and he had double-digit points too. It was a double-double. So I mean, you can't be mad at the guy. Right now, I think he's averaging a double-double and about around 6 assists for the season. I mean, can't be mad at that. And he's shooting like 41 or 42% from three.
And 80% from the free throw line. So you can't be mad at a guy. I mean, he's done great. I think for most Knicks fans is like, if he could clean up those turnovers, you know, and we'll have a more efficient Randall. You know what I mean? And that's what we're looking for. More efficiency from, you know, all around game style Randall, you know. And he's had those games.
He's got to continue to trust his teammates. He's just got to continue to trust his teammates.
Absolutely. And again, we're shorthand defensively when it comes to size. And I think that's starting to wears on guys throughout the season. So again, depending on who we face, matchup wise, you know, can Clint, you know, if it's the Hawks, can Clint Capella be held? You know, can we slow him down?
Yeah, I think
he's having a pretty good run. You know what I mean? I was talking about Clint Capella.
Oh yeah, Capella.
That.
Yeah.
You know, and if we run into the Hawks, can we slow down Clint Capella? And you know, that's a big deal. I mean, he doesn't have the same sort of size that other teams have, you know, but he's a guy who's kind of on a roll right now with that Hawks team. So it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Collins is so dangerous that I don't think he realizes how good he can be. Because sometimes he plays a little undisciplined, but that guy is a problem. A guy who can do defensively, he can do things. Offensively, he can jump out the gym and he can shoot the three. Like he's tough. But
they got a nice team there, though. They have a nice team there. They're a tough
matchup issue. But you know, absolutely. We played them well. So let's hope that if that's the matchup, you know, they continue to do what they've been doing against them.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Anyway, well, what do we got on our schedule, bro?
Yeah, well, this is the last stretch of games, that's for sure.
Oh man, don't say it.
It's so crazy.
True. I don't want to believe it, bro.
That's it, man. 4 more games. It's over.
Wow.
4 more games. Ain't that crazy? A full season.
That's nuts, man. So 1 more game on the road and then 3 games to wrap up at home, huh?
Which is big for us because coming down the stretch, we want to be comfortable. We don't want to have to travel too much. Hopefully, we keep that 4th spot. And that keeps us in home, right? We have home field advantage or home court advantage.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. Right now, they would have the home court advantage for at least the first playoff series, which would be great.
Because if we end the season similar to or with the same record on the loss column, or is it the win column again versus the Hawks, we won 2 out of the 3. So, you know, we're in good shape there.
4 would definitely play 5.
Right.
So, if I'm looking at these next 4 games, Lakers, Spurs, Hornets, Celtics, these could all be rough ones, man. And the must-win game here is the Hornets, if you ask me.
And Celtics.
But the Celtics is like it's the second, you know, most important win, because I think the Hornets, you know, you got to get that one first before you get to the Celtics. If you lose against the Hornets and then you're going into, like, say, if they lose these next 3 games, then you have to play the Celtics the last game of the season. That's a must win. The pressure is just going to be tremendous. So,
but you know, this is the thing. Playing a Coach Pop team after the Lakers, it's no easy feat.
That's why I'm honestly not looking at that Spurs game as a win. I'm looking at that Spurs game as a tough one. Like, I don't know what's going to happen against the Spurs.
Yeah, I agree.
Even at the Garden, to me, it doesn't matter because that's a Popovich team, and we haven't played them well so far. So,
right. And the Hornets bring it to us all the time. So do the Celtics.
Yeah, and I don't know if Gordon Hayward's going to be back for that game, but I do know he's getting close. So I don't know. And, you know, LaMelo's definitely back. So LaMelo's playing well. Yeah, LaMelo is balling.
he's playing like he's in Rucker Park, which is crazy to me. I'm like, what? Why did they let him do this stuff?
And I'm glad the Knicks didn't have a chance to draft him, because this would be so bad. This whole season would be all about missing out on LaMelo. But they had no chance to draft him, so it doesn't matter.
No, I agree. But if let's say in a crazy world, right? We drafted him. You think he's kind of New York style? I think he's too flashy for New York.
I don't know, dude. The last time we had a flashy guy like that, what was Mark Jackson?
No,
and Mark Jackson fit in
maybe.
pretty well.
Was he that
I don't
flashy?
Well, Rod Strickland, right?
Nah, Rod wasn't really that. Rod had the handle, but like flash. This kid is like flash.
He's extra flashy. Yes,
he's doing too much. Like like Mark Jackson would do the behind the like through the legs behind the back pass. That's flash, but it's flash with purpose. This kid's flash is a little bit more about him.
But I think that if he was in New York, he won with Thibodeau. He wouldn't be doing. He would still be a little flashy, but he wouldn't be doing as much because Thibodeau wouldn't allow it. Plus, I think he realizes in Charlotte, he's kind of the show. You know what I mean?
He is the show.
Yeah. So,
well, I mean, he is the show right now. I mean, he's not their best scorer, but he is the show.
It is what it is, man.
For sure, without a doubt.
There you go. I hear you.
All right.
Yeah. You're back. We got some intermittent technical difficulty. We're working through it, folks.
This entire day. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, man. It's just one of them days, bro.
It's all good. Like I said, I don't know if he is a New York style guy though. I don't know. I think he's a little bit too much flash. But again, I could be wrong,
Yeah, I agree that in his current way of playing basketball, it would be too much for the Knicks and Thibodeau. But I really don't think he would do that under Thibodeau because Thibodeau's got no problem benching anybody. And until you get it right, if you want to think this is all about you, I think he would definitely sit him down and let him know that it's not.
And that may cause him a little issue on the court, right? Like it may affect his game. So
yeah. But I think LaMelo, I don't know. It's really surprising because I thought, and don't get me wrong, Lonzo has played much better basketball. And I guess that's another reason why he's on the Knicks radar at the end of the season.
Right.
That's what it is. But LaMelo's better, man. He just is.
He is a better player.
Yeah.
All around, I think he is a better player. I think, of course, Lonzo is probably a little bit better defensively, but
right.
Lonzo seems to have that extra gear. That extra gear. He has the extra.
Oh, you mean LaMelo seems to have the extra gear?
LaMelo seems to have the extra gear.
I think they played each other the other day, and LaMelo had 22 and Lonzo had 12.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
It's true. It is what it is. the younger player has I mean, look, he's an NBA player now. He's showing up. He may win Rookie of the Year still. So it's interesting.
So those, by the way, I just wanted to reiterate. So those are three of the Knicks. That's the three targets right now at point guard. So Kyle Lowry, Lonzo Ball, and the guy on the Lakers with the hair that we like because he plays really hard.
Rozier.
No, on the Lakers.
Rozier. Rozier, ain't he?
He used to be on OKC, and he went to Detroit for a little bit.
Not Rozier. What am I talking about? Schroeder.
Dennis Schroeder. Man, I'm bad with names, but
yeah, I'm like saying Rozier, and I'm thinking of Schroeder, and I'm saying Rozier.
Yeah, so apparently those are the three guys the Knicks are really going to be looking at in the offseason.
Yeah, Rozier is who I really want, but that ain't.
So you feel confident in Rozier? I know he's played well this year, but do you feel confident that this is who he really is?
Yeah,
because he played well with the Celtics in the playoffs, right? And then the next season when Kyrie was there, he just like vanished.
Right. I like Rozier. If you give him the reign, then he's capable. He reminds me, him and Smart, are those
Marcus Smart,
those are the kind of players, gritty players, that they kind of bring it every game. They're going to give you that kind of intensity that you're looking for, kind of under the radar kind of guys. But I like those kind of, for point guards, I like them. But again, we'll see. Again, Derrick Rose is that type right now, So we have something like that already. The question is, can he can he stay consistently healthy throughout the season? And right now he's been optimal, right? We lost him for a little bit of time with COVID, but he's been, you know, what we have a nice there's a lot of folks talking about the ratio of wins that we have with Rose on, like playing games with us. It's great to see, like, you know, when he's in the game, you know, we have a chance to win. So
especially now. Now I
yeah.
think he understands how to play with his Knick team. He knows, his role, and he's very good at it, man. Very good at it.
What does that look like though if you bring in a Kyle Lowry, you know, who's a veteran as well, who's going to want to play his minutes? You know, what does that mean for IQ? That's what I'm always curious to see what that looks like. You know,
Well, I think it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal, because I think if they are going to do something like that, where they bring in a top point guard, a solid guy, then Rose goes to the bench, right, and he gets that role that he came into the Knicks with and has been good at, and he would still be good at it. And I think that a guy like a choice between Burks and Bullock, one of those guys won't be here, so that Quickly can have more minutes. Because I think the Knicks know what they got in Quickly. He's a budding type player. I don't know if he'll be a star, but he's definitely a player that can be a really strong contributor, and he's going to get better at shooting and probably better at defense. So you
yeah,
want to make more minutes for him.
it's just the undersized kind of guard.
Yeah, yeah, he
That's
is. He's
always the
like,
one
yeah,
that is like 6'3", where you have your Burks and your Bullocks are 6'6". You know, it's a big difference defensively when you're building your team, and you really want to get stops defensively. You got to sometimes go big, you know,
but
and
it, but who knows? I mean, you make up for it if, depending on who you bring in. If you bring in a guy like Schroeder, who plays really good defense at the one, or
true,
a guy like Lowry, who plays exceptional defense at the one, you
right,
can make up for some like a not lackadaisical, but like some lapses in defense at the two.
true. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I would like to see a team, an athletic Knicks team that does also have height, you know, because you look at
Yeah,
what we're gonna see tomorrow is all that, right? It's an
right.
athletic, extremely tall team. You know what I mean? Like they got size and they got athleticism, and that's how they beat most teams. So
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I just hope. I don't want the Knicks to go into, because I've seen some. This is, kind of future casting. I've seen
right.
some mock drafts of the Knicks picking, a certain point guard in the first round, who looks pretty good, solid contributor. But then I've also seen them picking, like, with their second pick, a Kentucky guy.
Right.
It doesn't matter, just a Kentucky guy, because of the
It's
whole
just
Kentucky
going to
connection.
be
And
right.
I don't love that.
I
Like,
don't
I
either.
like this whole thing. I like the climate that Kentucky players bring, but I don't want you just having this whole thing where every year, hey, we got to draft a Kentucky guy and keep the whole thing.
Right.
I don't like that. So
Right.
we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
No, that's a bad thing, but it's also CBA, right? Related. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's interesting. Um, I have a question in regards to the last 4 games, and
Mm.
just wanted to hear your thoughts around this.
Mm-hmm.
If the Knicks were to go 0-4 in the stretch, because we haven't chosen, where do we land? Do we land at number 5, or do we drop to 6?
It's a good question. That's tough. That is tough, because we could easily drop from 4 to 6, especially
Right.
if the Celtics play well against their teams. Miami plays well against the teams they're playing. They
Right.
would bump us. They would bump us.
Yeah, we could potentially drop to 7.
Oof.
And if we drop to 7, then we're playing the Bucks. Right?
Yeah. No.
Bucks or
We would
Nets.
play. No, if we drop to 7, we'd be
We have a
playing the
play-in
Sixers.
game.
No, because isn't the Nets number 1 right now?
No, Sixers is number 1.
Oh,
Nets
so they
is number
overtook
2.
them. Nets is
Yeah.
number 2. Yeah, we'd be playing the Nets.
Playing the Nets. First round.
Oh, I don't like that. I mean,
No,
I would love it, but I don't like it.
Yeah, you love it for New York because you want to see a good game.
No.
You know,
What
but
I want the Knicks to play the Hawks or somebody like that in the first round have a chance to win. And then if they come up against the Nets or somebody like that in the second round,
so be it. Yeah. That's what we all want. But again, look at these 4 stretches of games, man. I'm not saying we're gonna lose all 4. I'm that's not what I'm hoping for. But this is a tough end right now. This is a tough end because Spurs are always going to be ready. They got Coach Pop.
Yep.
The Hornets play us tough. For me, if we win tomorrow's game, we beat the Hornets. If we win tomorrow, we beat the Hornets. And we'll probably lose to the Spurs and Celtics. So we'll end up 2-2. If we lose tomorrow, the only game that we have to get the Spurs game if we lose against the Lakers. We have to. Because if we don't, that's a miss right there. So for me, the two games for me is Spurs Hornets. But if we win against the Lakers, I could do without the Spurs win, but we'll get the Hornets win.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the Knicks are going to go 1-3 in these next 4. I think the only game they're going to get is the Hornets game. I know, but I also think that LaMelo's going to be there, and I think he hasn't. I don't know if he's played against these Knicks. Mm-hmm. I don't think he was there. So
he played once and got hurt.
Maybe he played once, right? But he wasn't like he's playing much better basketball now than he was then. But I think that we can beat them. And so that's the game I'm looking at. Now, I'm hoping that the Knicks win tomorrow and they win against the Hornets. But I'm not giving them the Spurs, and I'm definitely not giving them the Celtics game because I think that Celtics game means too much to the Celtics. And the Celtics are a strong defensive team with a lot of weapons as well, especially one main weapon in Tatum. And if they have
Brown.
I forgot what's his name? Brown?
Is that Brown?
Yeah, Jalen. If they got Jalen, then it's going to be a very tough game to
he's
win.
expected to come back too.
Yeah. So
that's how. What's the play-in game? Who does is it the playing games or what? Who is 7 and 10? 7 through 10 do the play-in game?
I think it's 8 through 10. Wait. No, we said 7
it would
through
be
10
2.
It's 2 and 2. Yeah. Right. 7 through 10.
Right. So it would be 7 versus 10 and 9 versus 8.
I don't know. They haven't really broke down how that would make sense.
I think that's what it. So worst case scenario, we 4-7. We played the Wizards. Yikes!
I don't want that.
I don't want that either.
Wizards right now.
Not right now.
Wizards are playing great. I don't want that.
That's a horrible. That is tough, man.
We caught the Wizards at the right time.
We sure did.
Wizards.
So look, I mean, that's where we're at right now. We're in number 4. We hold our own destiny, but we have to take 2. We have to win 2. We legit have to win 2. We only win 1. We're talking like potentially a 6 or 7 seed. If we only win 1. And if Coach Tibbs is talking to his team like we're talking about this right now, it's a must win. You got to get 2. You got to get 2. If you don't get the first one, you got to get at least the Celtics game because that's hit or miss right there.
And I think they're going to push for winning 2 because I think the Knicks really want to see that 40 number in the win column too. I think they want to get to 40 wins.
You have to. They don't have a choice, to be honest. If you don't get 2 wins, you can't relax the last game. That means that Celtics game means more. That means a lot more. You know what I mean?
All right. So you know what? Now that we've said that, I'm looking at things.
Thank you.
I've changed everything though. I've changed everything.
Okay.
I say Knicks beat the Spurs and the Knicks beat the Hornets.
Spurs and Hornets.
They lose to the Lakers and the Celtics.
Okay. I can see that. But we got to win. We got to win 2. Got to win 2. Yeah. So I think I'm going to roll with you there. Spurs and Hornets as the 2 that we get. But I just want to go on record. If we get the Lakers game, we lose the Spurs game, we win the Hornets game.
I dig it.
You know, we're going to get the two.
I hope they surprise us once again. Knick basketball. I hope they beat the Lakers and beat the Spurs and beat the Hornets and lose to the Celtics. I'll go with that too.
Actually, I would like the last three.
Well, who wouldn't?
Give me the last three. I'll lose to the Lakers and get the last three.
Yeah, man, that would be nice.
You know what I mean?
That'd be
Would be nice. Nice way to end it. You know, win every home game, close out the season. Yeah, that would be cool.
Anyway, oh boy. Uh-oh, I got big breaking news.
Uh-oh. What are we talking?
Jarred Kelenic is coming up to the majors, buddy. Jarred Kelenic, the Mets' number one prospect, is coming up.
Is that a top prospect?
Only bad thing is he's coming up for Seattle since they traded him.
Someone. What was that?
I said Jarred Kelenic, the Mets' number one prospect, is coming up to the majors, except he's coming up for the Seattle Mariners because they traded him. Just want to throw that out there. Very hurtful. The best player they had in their farm system. Okay, I'm done. All right.
Look, they got into a scuffle. They won some games. Talk about Mets baseball.
Oh man, you see
that's where they're at. They're at.
Listen.
That's the way they do it over there. You know, the amazing Mets. They gotta be some turmoil in order for them to be really good. So,
that's right. That's right. That's a New York thing, man.
That's the 80s winning, right? That's how they won in the 80s. So
it's facts.
Hey, more power to them. See, my Yankees are starting to we're starting to look good too. So
hey, let's put New York on back on the map, man. Everybody is on the map.
Yeah, that's it. Facts.
Well, this has been great, dude. We got through it, guys. Listen, I know this one was a little tough, it was a little choppy. We had some internet issues, but you know what? We held it together. We did our job.
We ended the season like we started the season.
That's
consistent.
Yeah, man. So this has been great once again. Really excited for what's to come with these Knicks. And I can't wait to cover these next couple games and see where everything falls, what's going to happen, where the Knicks are going to wind up. But one thing we do know is the Knicks are going to play some type of playoff basketball, folks. There's going to be some type of playoff, whether it be a play-in or just a regular series. Something's going to happen. So let's hope for the best, man.
Look forward to that, man.
A pleasure once again. Always, J.O. And you guys, continue to follow us, watch us, like this video, subscribe. We appreciate your comments. If you have any ideas, any thoughts, you can catch us on Instagram. It's still Knick Fans, or on Twitter. And once again, just want to say thank you for tuning in. Shout out to Jose for
holding us down once
again.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, brother. Any last words, John?
Yeah, man. Look out for us again. Like everything you said, reiterate, subscribe, hit the like button, share with a friend, hit us with some comments. We're looking forward to, bringing some playoff action, commentation, you know what I mean, during the playoff run. So stay tuned to that. We may even go live. Who knows? We'll see. We'll work it out. Yeah, that's it, man. Thank you for joining us this season, man. This has been awesome. We'll probably come on once more right before the playoff run. We'll be shooting for like sometime in next Monday, something like that after the
sounds right.
Season's over. And then we'll commit to talking about a full season, how we stack up against who we're planning to play against. So yeah,
should be fun.
Gonna be fun.
All right. We out of here. Take it easy.
Take care. Peace.
It's a litmus test just to see who's best. Roll the dice, break the pipe, and let's see who's next. Ron and Jon on the mic, talking New York Knicks. We be rooting and recruiting for the boot camp clip. Take a step back, take a minute. Talk trash, but we in it. Let's go now, cause we winning. All you haters, gon' be living. Run amok, knuckle up, ain't no New York punk. Step it up, keep it clutch, have the Midas touch.